G'day guys, it's Heath here, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a video that's probably shorter than some of the videos I've done, and it just covers fitting LX Torana headlight covers. So I've always really liked that look, the kind of 80s style headlight covers. They did have them on the race cars and stuff where they just self-tapped them into the headlight surrounds, and they had sign writing on it with their sponsors and stuff like that. In the 80s, Aunger were one of the companies that did it quite prolifically, I guess. Today I've just got some striped ones here, and I'm going to show you the way that I fit them. So on the race cars they were just self-tapped, they kind of oversized them a bit. These ones I've drawn up and had laser cut. They actually fit inside the mouth of the headlight surround. In my mind, it's the most elegant way, and I'm going to be fitting them to some brand new reproduction headlight covers here. So these are Rare Spares products. I'm using brand new ones. Of course, you can just put them in old ones. It makes no difference. One thing that's maybe worth mentioning is that these are for an LX Torana. A lot of people would assume they would fit an LH as well. They actually don't fit an LH. The LH typically came with square headlights, and the headlight surround is actually a little bit different in shape. Rather than the bright work at the bottom being there, it's actually more like there on an LH. So it's, unless you get your head down low, you probably wouldn't notice. These products here are specific for an LX. Through the years, a lot of them were done with clips like this, which are somewhat of a clamp-on design. So this design here, it gets held on with a small fastener with a rubber washer and stuff onto the clear headlight cover, and that actually in turn kind of clamps around. It gets jammed in between the paint on the nose cone and the surround, and you kind of have to awkwardly tighten that up in situ, which means that if you want to adjust your headlights or you want to clean the back of the covers or whatever, you got to kind of, you know, pry that out from there, and it's sitting against the paint the whole time. Also, when you're looking, you know, across the front of the car, you actually can't see the profile consistently. It interrupts the profile of the bright work. So in my mind, aesthetically, it's not that nice. It's not that tidy, having that kind of broken edge. So the way that I did it for my own car is that I actually handmade brackets like this. This is just a very simple L-shaped bit of aluminium sheet metal, and I hand cut them with an angle grinder out of some scrap material the first time. I wouldn't recommend doing that. It's such a fiddly job to, you know, make them look nice and everything. So nowadays I just laser cut them, and I've had quite a few people want to replicate what I did. So I make a little kit of parts, and this video is just going to show how to put it together. So I'm going to use my design of internal clips. I do have some of these lying around if somebody wants to do it the more original way, but I can easily reproduce these ones here. You can hold the covers onto the clips with a self-tapper if you want. My own car has nuterts, and I'm going to build some today that have nuterts in them. I think the nuterts are better because you can easily just unscrew 4 M4 threads, and you can remove that, you can clean it. The back of it is connected with a pop rivet. So having the pop rivet there means that that's, you know, pretty firmly in place, and the brackets stay on the car, the covers come off and then can go back on. They can register in the same spot every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with these brackets which have 2 small holes in them. I'm going to drill out the hole so that I can fit a nutsert in there. I may start making them with a bigger hole to suit the nutsert anyway. And I'll add those nutserts. I'm going to put some countersunk holes in the plastic so that it's an even more flush kind of look. When you're looking really across the car, the way the light hits all of that, if you can keep it all flush, I think it looks the best. And I'll show you the way that you mark out where the holes have to be in the headlight surround, because that's the kind of trickier part. It's a little bit harder to do it the first time, but once they're in there, they stay there. Whereas the clamp type, you don't have to modify the headlight surround, but you lose your spot every time. You can scratch things. It just doesn't look as tidy. To begin with, I'm just going to start off by modifying this little bracket to take a nutsert instead of a self-tapper. So it's got a tiny little hole in there currently, maybe 2.5 millimeters or so. I've got a 6mm drill on my battery drill. I'm just going to drill that out. I'm holding it in the vise with some super soft urethane jaws. I guess you can do it with normal kind of soft jaws, and you just got to be a bit careful. But I find that's probably a lot easier to hold once I've already bent it to shape, and I always just send them out already bent. So I've got my little nutsert here, so this becomes a captive, if you've never used one, this becomes a captive thread in a bit of sheet metal. So I find them very handy. I use them all the time. I think they're a bit more professional than having speed nuts and stuff like that. So 6mm gives it a bit of a firm fit there, and this is the nutsert kind of tool that I have. They come in different forms. Some of them are more like a pop riveting tool, I suppose. They come in a few different forms, but this is a threaded one that I find quite easy to use. So you just screw that onto the mandrel, I guess it's called, and I just use a little 1/4-inch drive, hold that down in place, and you actually feel the nutsert get firmer when it's closed over or stretched to the point where it won't happily deform any further. So the torque gets higher. You can kind of feel that happen, and particularly when it's all clean threads and you've got it all lined up nicely, it's pretty easy. It indicates it fairly well to you. So if you've never done it before, I would recommend getting nutserts. They're so handy when you're building cars. So that there is done. So what I'm going to do now is, I've already got a few of these that I prepared earlier. So I'm going to change the drill bit for a countersinking bit, and I'm going to just grab these ones. Now you want to countersink it in such a way that the printed detail actually sits on the back of it, so that when you get any stone chips or whatever, you're not risking the printing, right? So you can give it a polish afterwards or whatever if you're lucky and get rid of that problem. So all of the graphical work stays kind of protected by being on the inside of it. So I'm just going to countersink that out, and I'll do that kind of progressively and see how the screw fits in there. So we're getting there. I don't want to overshoot it too badly. Just want to get it so it's a nice flush fit in there, like so. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll do that 3 more times. So now that I've countersunk all of the screw holes, what I'm going to do is get the screws and bolt these small brackets onto the back of each cover loosely, and I'm going to use that as a template to mark out where the other fasteners have to be located. So I'm just going to screw them on like that. So the top one hangs down in that direction. So what I've done now is I've taken the headlight cover, I've fastened 4 of these clips onto it, and I'm going to do a bit of a dry fit. Obviously this is all being done off the car, so I've removed the headlight surround from the car to do this job, and I'm just going to place that in there. Basically I'm going to centralize that where I want it to be, and I can actually just put that face down if I'm happy with how it's kind of sitting. That's actually probably the easiest way to do it. I've just got it down on a t-shirt so I don't scratch anything, and I'm going to get a 90-degree pick. I'm just going to hold that down, and I'm going to mark in through those little pre-drilled or pre-laser cut holes where I want to put the 4 top rivets. Now I can take that out. I've got the 4 points marked in there, and I'm going to drill them now. The drilling will be done once again with a battery drill with a 3.5mm or 1/8 pilot drill. To make it a bit easier to get the drill started without wandering around, you probably would be best to put a very light centre punch mark in there, I'd say. So I'm just going to use that by hand. I'm not going to get a hammer on it or anything like that. I don't need to distort the shit out of it. It's a very light gauge material, so just a little bit of pressure there to make a point is going to help me with getting that started. So 4 little holes, and there is a little bit of scratching because I was a little bit careless with it, but that will be hidden by the brackets. So the next step here, I could obviously unscrew those, but I'm just going to start with some new ones because I've got them loose anyway. I'm going to get these pop rivets in. So the head of the pop riveter is very close to the nutsert, but I've just made those brackets large enough that with a little bit of careful planning you can have the nutserts installed prior to doing the job, essentially. So we'll give that a crack. Now my pop riveter, my gun's a bit crappy, so it may not just flow through this very elegantly. Might be playing around with it a bit. So there we go. So the 4 of the brackets are installed now. I've just pop riveted those on, and they may need a little bit of tweaking with the angle and stuff like that. I just got them out of the pile, so I didn't actually have them exactly in the right spot. We'll see how they line up. Yeah, I think with just a little bit of tinkering here, I'll get them all to centralise nicely. So it's a bit of an imperfect process. I've pop riveted these on. I've done a little bit of hand tweaking. It's always going to be a little bit imperfect like that. There's just so many, complex shapes, and you're never going to register everything in the exactly perfect spot. But I think I've got that to the point where it should look pretty good when assembled. So I'm just going to start all 4 of the screws. So as you can see, with a couple of basic tools that you probably already own and a little bit of elbow grease, you can transform your Torana back into the 80s stylistically where it belongs, with some sweet headlight covers. And of course you can get clear ones and put different designs on there to suit your own aesthetic or whatever. If you want some and you want some brackets, just send me an email. I'll put my email address in the description. I hope you enjoy the video. Like and subscribe if you're feeling enthused about what I'm doing, and let me know what else you want me to cover. Thanks for watching. Cheers guys. Have a great one.